French lawmakers have voted to oust Prime Minister Francois Bayrou, and the president has already chosen a successor. The move sent the country into a political crisis following a period of instability in parliament. Bayrou himself called the confidence vote that saw his exit, staking his government on an unpopular debt relief plan. Tessa Bennett joins us in studio with more on how France's government has changed in the last 24 hours. Tessa?
Manisa, the defeated Prime Minister presented his resignation to President Emmanuel Macron today, who then made the quick decision to replace him with Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu. It marks the country's fifth Prime Minister in less than 2 years. Ousted French Prime Minister Francois Bayrou arrived at the Élysée presidential palace today to hand President Emmanuel Macron his formal resignation.
Drama unfolding at the French National Assembly, a bit infused with an air of all or nothing. Francois Bayrou's gamble on a vote of confidence to rally support for the painful austerity budget that he championed backfiring. It's not the debt that's, by the way, spooking Europe, but the all or nothing attitude.
Bayrou, who served in office for just 9 months, was overwhelmingly expelled in a confidence vote of 364 to 194 votes in Parliament, effectively collapsing the government while the president came up with a replacement.
Le Premier Ministre doit remettre au Président de la République la démission.
The now former MP called the emergency vote in what some are referring to as a political miscalculation, hoping to push through a savings plan that turned out to be incredibly unpopular.
It involved a series of cuts, most controversially ending 2 statutory holidays in France as a way of saving money. And he was unable to build a coalition in Parliament. But the real problem isn't the debt. The real problem is the nature of the French party system since the summer of 2024.
When Macron was elected in 2022, his party did not gain a majority. And in the summer of 2024, Macron decided to dissolve the lower house of France's parliament entirely, sending voters back to the polls to choose new lawmakers. The surprise announcement came after his party was defeated by the far-right National Rally in the European parliamentary elections.
So the hard left and the far right have crushed the socialists, which governed France for many years, reduced the old Gaullist right to a rump, and Macron's grouping is much smaller.
On Tuesday, Macron made the quick decision to replace Bayrou with Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu. The new PM will now have to work quickly to tackle the issue of France's debt, which ultimately led to the downfall of his 2 predecessors. Lecornu marks the 5th PM France has had in less than 2 years. Even before yesterday's vote, the prospect of Bayrou being ousted sparked calls for Macron to step aside as well. The far-right's Marine Le Pen has called for the president to once again dissolve parliament, but some fear that would only fracture the French government even further.
The bigger question for France, for Europe, for us in Canada, is not will Macron win again, will he win, but will the far right, the National Rally, come to power.
Macron is barred from running for a 3rd consecutive term, but could be eligible in the future. But the country's residents don't seem to be impressed by his 2nd term thus far.
J'attends que ça change. J'espère que ce sera un peu différent.
One person called France's politicians one big joke, while another suggested the government was heading straight for a wall. The next presidential election is set to take place in 2027. France's new Prime Minister will now have to pick his cabinet, with the official handover from Bayrou taking place tomorrow.